Hello, Jason Graystone, and welcome to the Parental CEO interview for a parent in business. So please tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me first. It's Jason Graystone. I'm an investor. I'm a trader. I'm an entrepreneur, and these days I just spend my days looking at opportunities in business and building businesses and investing in the markets and putting my money to use so that I can have a life where I get to choose how I spend every day, which is awesome.
Completely free life. Do what you want, when you want, where you want, how you want.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? That's how we like it. So I just make sure that I put myself in positions that allows me to do that.
That's amazing. So a few years ago, we'll put the link in this YouTube video back to that original video when we first interviewed you. You told us, where it all started, but tell us now what's happened in the last 3 years of your business and your life.
So the business side of things, the way that I approach everything is basically around building an asset. So the key to freedom is having assets, and assets you either buy or you create. And businesses are great assets to create if you can get them working the right way, where they're leveraged and they don't require your time. That can be just as good as investing in the stock market, because that's a skill that you use to then put some time into going invest in the stock market, and then you get a return that's quite passive. Same with business can be the same. So the way that I create businesses is little, I call it, I use the kind of analogy of Tetris, where you just kind of, the Tetris block comes in and it's a bit clunky, and you kind of free up the space and the time in the main chamber there, and then you drop another one in. So I create the businesses, we build a little team, we build the assets, we make them highly leveraged, and then that essentially runs, and then I can take small income from each of the businesses. So I'm more about income than I am about lump sums, because income pays for life, right? So if I can create lots of these little assets that pay me income, then I get diversified leveraged income, which is really, really sustainable, and it really helps you sleep at night. So whether it's a business or whether it's investing or whether it's like trading or whatever, I use these things to give me diversified leveraged income streams that then allow me to do what I want. And over the last few years, I've basically just created more of those. A few more businesses. Mainly businesses we've been working on over the last 3 years, but it all plays in favor of the goal of having time, freedom, and flexibility and mobility. That's key, because the more that your feeling of freedom, I think, is just linked to how mobile you are, how passive your income is, and how and how flexible, how much you can choose how you spend your day, and still pay for the things that you want in life. So yeah, it's been going good.
So how many businesses do you have now?
Oh, they're all over the world. And obviously I do angel investing as well. So that there's quite a few startups, tech businesses that I'm an angel investor for. There's a property thing going on in Portugal, and then there's a couple in Dubai. Yeah, probably 10, 11 dotted all over the world, tier one in the US. So yeah, all over the place in terms of companies.
Amazing. Well, remind me to talk to you off screen about what else we can do together, maybe in that sector. So what's next?
Great. What's next? I'm just carrying on doing what I'm doing. So I've in probably my late 20s, I just really focus on getting my life to a place where I just did what I want all the time, and then anyone left around me wanted to tag along for that journey. So that includes my family, right? That includes, luckily they stayed with me. But it really was just this, I'm going to do me. And I wholeheartedly believe that if I can just be happy being me and do what I want all the time, then everyone around me will be happier, because they because they just are like, you're letting them do that what they want, I do what I want, and you're the happiest you can possibly be. Therefore, that spills out into relationships and all the rest of it, and that's what I did. So my mission is literally like living and doing what I do every day, because we're here on earth to live. And I'm not really a big fan of these massive kind of goals that are put onto us or we set based on what other people are achieving. A lot of people that I know that are wildly successful. In fact, next week I'll be spending some time on a yacht with a guy who's probably worth 800 million, something like that. And there's a group of people on that yacht that will be very frustrated and very bitter almost, and resentful for the position they're in. And it's because they're missing life. They're missing life. They're on this hamster wheel trying to chase something that they think they want or they think they should have, when in actual fact they're missing out on living. And I see it so transparently in these people. So my goal is just to live a life where I can choose what I do every day and just keep doing it and keep getting my message out to people and helping people, realize that there's another way. Don't forget to create a life that you enjoy the journey of, rather than getting to this end goal and going, well, that wasn't what I thought it was, and then hitting your coffin. That's not really what it's about. So yeah, so the answer to your question, beating around the bush and a long-winded answer, keep doing what I'm doing, like living my life how I've got it, because I love it. I love my life.
Amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And it's so inspirational to be telling somebody that, you're doing what you want to do every day. And I had a wake-up call recently when somebody said, well, I asked one of the clients, what's your dream goal? And she was like, well, to basically wake up and not worry about going to work, go for a coffee if I want to go for a coffee, travel to somewhere I want to travel if I want to travel. And I was like, wow, we're doing that, Jay, we're doing that. And it's like, you know what, we might have gone a long way around it, and we might have, we started out the Parental CEO to help, parents build businesses, but actually what it's come down to now is making sure we inspire people to live their ultimate life the way they want to, how they want to, whether that's going to a 9-to-5 job, traveling the world, having a passive income. It's kind of making sure they're aware that there's more than just one option, and making sure that they're aware that there's no right or wrong way, because ultimately it's how you want to live your life. And if that's, nipping off to spend some time with somebody on a yacht, or, jumping in a camper van and going traveling around Europe, or, going to work because you purely love going to work, you love the job you do. Like, I've got a few friends that are in the NHS, and they wake up every morning looking forward to going, even though they don't get paid a lot. But the dream goal is to live your life the way you want to, not how society says, not how, your husband or wife dictates, not because you're restricted because you've got children. And in fact, we've got someone working with at the minute, always wanted to have a camper van. And I asked, the simple question, as anybody would, is, well, why don't you have one? Oh, because we've got kids. And I was like, yeah, but you've got kids, so you can still have what you want. You just have to find a way. And I think what you're doing is amazing. You're certainly an inspirational character for Jamie and myself. We love your stuff. We love sharing your stuff, and that, why you're on here today.
Thank you.
But what about your kids? They're a bit older now than ours, but what are they doing? How do you manage doing what you're doing and still being a dad?
Yeah, I'm a massive believer in leading by example rather than being a teacher. So there was a time where I was clashing quite badly, particularly with my eldest son, because I was trying to be his teacher, and he was, as a result of that, he was looking up to me, and I didn't want him to look up to me. I never want my kids to look up to me. I never ever want my kids to look up to me. I want them to create their own path and find their own way and do what they want to do. And because when you look up to someone, it creates a lot of guilt or shame about doing something that's actually in your heart that you want to do. And you see that a lot in various different cultures, where they're pushed in to do something because they think that that's what their parents wanted them to do, and then they just, they hate their parents. They resent their parents in the end, and I never wanted that. So a great outlet for me to be able to be a teacher without teaching was social media, because I started to put my messages out there, and you grow a following, and then before you know it, your kids' friends are following you, and then they're saying you're cool, and then they're telling them, your dad's switched on, and there's his stuff, and then it's kind of cool and all right, and then they start listening through social media as a third party. So you're putting your message. Actually, a lot of the time when I'm talking on social media, or I have done in the past, it's because of a conversation I've had with my kids that I want to get a message to them. But they don't know. So I'm now going, right, I was speaking to someone the other day and they said this, and this is what my thoughts are. And then their friends start going, oh, your dad, that's a good message what your dad put out. And then they're like, right, okay, I'm listening, because it's cool to listen. So that's been a massive outlet for me to do some teaching, but really it's about leading by example. So there's been times in my life where it's been very, very touch and go. There's been times where I've really struggled to manage the whole family thing. I thought, I've just got to believe I've got to be happy doing what I want to do, and everything will work out. And then it just, it comes good in the end. And because you're leading and going after what you want, they see that as permission for them to go after and do what they want. So, for instance, there was a conversation we had with my wife quite a while back where she was doing a thing every day. We'd obviously got in a position where we could basically do whatever we want, and she chose what she did every day. But she had this thing in her head where if she wasn't bringing in the money, like, directly, or doing something profound, that she wasn't kind of matching up or pulling the weight. And it was because she didn't see the other side that she was bringing to the family. And I said, look, you're actually doing what you want every day now, and you should be able to do whatever you want every day now, because that's what we've designed, that's what we've built here. And just realizing that, and then thinking, oh wow, yeah, this is what I want to do, and this is the value that I'm bringing, and it is, this is how it all works together. That allowed us to really appreciate the whole situation at another level, and the kids see that as well. The kids say, oh, dad's basically created a life where we can choose what we want to do. So that's amazing. The key then is to then guide your kids into what they want to do without them being some lazy, spoilt little brat. It's about going, right, okay, well, let's not take the mick. You've got to, what do you like? Okay, you like that. Well, let's push you down that little route a little bit and see what areas you like. And then they don't quite like this and they don't quite like that. And you say, okay, well, what did you like most? And then you push them down that, and you kind of guide and don't let them take the foot off the gas so much. And eventually they end up in a role where they're like, wow, I've tried that and I've tried that and I really love this. So then they naturally kind of develop in an area that they love. And if you can get your kids doing that, I believe that that's just the way, the most successful people and the most richest people, wealthiest people, make their money. They go into doing something they enjoy, and the money becomes a byproduct, because they don't need motivational YouTube videos. They don't need, they don't need discipline. They don't need like external discipline. They just get up and do the thing because they've chose to do that. They've naturally chose to do that. So that's it. And then it's just about getting them to understand that it's not about chasing the things to keep up with the friends. It's about just having things that you actually enjoy. What does that cost? And then how can you make enough money to cover those costs from doing what you love? So that's like financial freedom, really. It's just being in a position where you do what you love every day. You bring in the money to pay for the things that you actually want, not the Joneses, and that's it. That's a great place to start. If you can get there by the time you're like 25, 30 years old, even, you know, I speak to most, yeah, I speak to 45, 50-year-olds who still don't know what they're, you know, they still haven't got, they don't know what they're doing. They haven't got their life in order at all. And that all I wanted for my kids was to be able to support them into guiding them into something that they enjoy. And that's what we're doing.
How old are your children now?
One's just turned 18 and one is just turned 15.
So remembering back to when your kids were my age, Alara's now 2, Jackson's 3.5.
So that's great as well, because we, you know.
Sorry, there was a delay there. So your kids, like get into that, you know, adolescent side of stuff. Can you remember what it was like when you were trying to do everything when they were smaller? Did you think there was ever going to be a time where you had that break, had that, you know, saying to yourself that, you know, my kids' friends are going to be watching me on social media? Is there ever a time where you thought, you know, when they were running around causing havoc when they were smaller, that you thought, I can't do this? Or
Yeah, I mean, me and my wife have always had a really, really mutually respectful relationship where, you know, I'll go and do the business thing and get the money sorted, and, you know, you look after the family when I need you to, and then, you know, and that's how it's been. That's how it's been in our family. And that is naturally our own values as well. So my wife is very family oriented and I'm not. So we balance each other out in that way as well. I'm very much, you know, I'm she's helped me kind of become a little bit more empathic, and I'm a very logical thinker, and I've opened her eyes on the world of finances and how that works and how you manage your money and things like that. So that's worked really well. And in the early days, I had a lot more time with my first son than I did with my second son, because of where I was at in my business journey. On when I had my second son, it was very much, you know, really trying to get the business to where it needed to be to free my time. I was learning to trade. I was learning to, you know, really hammering, doubling down, to get myself in a position where I didn't need to work anymore. And that was, you know, my second son. And obviously there's benefits and drawbacks to that. I don't know if it shapes their personality a little bit differently. I think siblings are always the opposite of each other anyway. So if you've got one that's more kind of academic and logical, you'll have one that's totally compassionate and, you know, head in the sky type thing, creative. So there's that. And then there's the fact that one becomes a little bit more independent maybe than the other one, and all these things. And at the end of the day, like, you don't get training for being a parent, do you? So I don't know. You can't beat yourself up for it. Whether that had any impact in their life, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't care. You know, I've had my best shot at it, and they've turned out good. They've turned out really, really well. So
I think you've done a great job.
They've turned out all right. We get a lot of great compliments from people saying they're really good kids. So you know, that speaks in volumes. But in the early days, yeah, just a lot of, just, again, it's like you just have to get it done. There are things that you can do. I know a lot of people say, well, I've got kids, so I can't do this or that and the other. But you know, you guys are living proof that you're traveling the world with kids and running a business and, you know, making it your life. That's the key, making it your life. You're the parental CEOs, your kids, the travel, the bus, you know, it's the life, and you're getting paid to do that. So that's the dream. Like that's it. So if you don't think that you can do something because of something, well, then ask yourself, how can I do all of it and get paid? You know, how could I just incorporate the lot? Because you will always choose what is your highest priority. So if you're saying I can't do it because of my kids, that means you're prioritizing your kids. Therefore, you should probably prioritize your kids, whether that's bringing in income doing that or figure out how someone else can bring in the income so they can look after your kids, right? This is the excuse you're telling yourself, which is your highest priority. It's like, I can't, I want to lose weight, but I love burgers. I love McDonald's. Well, you got to figure out how to get to a weight where you can be happy but still eat McDonald's. It's the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, I was speaking to someone the other day, it's like, right, I really want to lose weight. My number one goal is to lose weight, but I eat a packet of chocolate hobnobs a day. Okay, so what
Right.
can change?
Yeah. What can you change but still eat hobnobs, right? Because you like hobnobs. So don't try and that's the key. That's the key.
One question I've got as well is like, for us, we want to inspire and uplift people and push that giving back, doing more. And I know recently I've seen a post from you that you are just about to give back. So tell us a bit more about what kind of charity work you do.
Yeah, so charity work, there's a couple of things we're involved with. So some of the programs that we sell, for instance, we clear plastic off of the beaches of Indonesia, and we do 30-day e-learning programs for children in India. And then something that was really close to me is I'm working with a company called Key for Life, run by a lady called Eva Hamilton, and that allows me to go in and work with ex-convicts or convicts in prisons so that I can help them around so they can come out and basically use the exact same skills that they have already, but for the good rather than the bad. Because the ironic thing is they're doing it because they think that will give them freedom, but in actual fact, they're locked behind bars. But if they just use that same skill, for the good, it can give them tremendous freedom, and they can really make a difference.
It's amazing. And it's just perspective, isn't it? It's like, especially even if you relate that to a child, we're trying to, as you said, lead the way, inspire them. But we just had the moment at the minute, and Jackson's at that age now where he's learning the world. He's 3 years old and he's killed an ant. And I'm like, oh my God, he's killed an ant. But he's learning what's right and wrong. And if we don't guide him to show him that path, he could end up behind bars. If you're guiding them now and then you're showing them the way that we want them to go and where they could use that power for good, that's great when they're a small age. But like you're saying, when they've made mistakes, it's not about going, you've made a mistake, lock you away, throw away the key. It's about going in there and rehabilitating that mind, rewiring that pathway to go, this was wrong. I'm aware that's wrong because of the consequences, but how do I make it right? And that's something that I think is incredible. So well done for that.
Great. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it because I it's about just showing the opportunities and the possibilities of what you can do using the skills that they've already got. My dad was a criminal, my uncle was a criminal. I was kitted off to be babysat by a criminal every day in my childhood. And my dad used to my real dad used to go, and he ran a window cleaning business, and he'd only employ heroin addicts so that he would get them to steal from all the houses, all the jewelry, and then he would sell it, and then he would pay for their fix, and they would just keep working for him that way. And then, my uncle worked for him. He ended up with a massive heroin addict and went inside and died. And then, I was babysat by Joey Pyle, who was like best man of Ronnie Cray, and all these crazy things. And I just felt close to the whole criminal underground. But I remember when I was about 18 or 19, I thought, wow, my dad was so skilled to be able to influence those people, manage that, come up with that concept. And I'm not saying that's a good thing to do, but it's pretty much the same as you're providing a service for someone, and you're using your influence and persuasion to get people on board with your bigger vision and doing all that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much what all these people are doing in prison. I then did it the same, but not in that way, I did it by serving people and making money through business and fair exchange and all the rest of it. So it's, yeah, fascinating. So I feel like it's really close to my heart, and
It
I
is.
love the work that we're doing.
As we're wrapping up with this mindset, can you tell me, you know, being in the background of people from bad mindset and using their skills for, you know, the bad side of stuff, what do you think was your key value, if you want, that led you down the path of good?
Again, this comes back to like what's right and wrong, because they were doing that, and as a result, he wasn't around. You know, it was just me and my mum when I was 2 years old, and I remember we didn't have any electricity most of the time. We had bailiffs knocking at the door. We had no money, no father figure. I believe that what we feel that we have voids in our life shapes our values. So you either take sides with it and go, do you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'm going to do the same thing. Money's bad. I'm going to go into do it this way. Or you come the complete opposite, where you say, I just value security. I value money. I value wealth. I value freedom. I value security. You know, I want balance. I want stability. I wanted all those things. So very young age, I wanted all of that. I used to lock myself in my bedroom and be very happy with my own company, playing on my own, taking things apart, very inquisitive. And I hate losing things. I wanted to know where all my possessions were all the time. I still do today. I've got a real problem. If I lose something, I have to literally find it, or I go nuts. I have to buy it again immediately just so I've got it and I can rest. That's followed me to today. And yeah, I think it's your voids shape your values, and that's basically what's happened with me, for sure.
So if you were to give everyone that's watching this one piece of advice to live in a happier, freer, good life, what would you say?
Understand yourself. So what are your values, right? So instead of today, this is a really important message, because it is literally an epidemic. People looking up to people on social media, people feeling inferior or they should be something else. There's a real identity problem, right, at the moment. There's no doubt about it. People are just so lost that they feel like they're trying to keep up with people. They're creating their own identities to just not things. And it's amazing. So the important thing is just understanding, like, what are your values truly? Like, if you what do you bring up in conversation the most? What do you spend most of your disposable income on? If you didn't have to work on Monday morning, what would be the first thing you went and done? What do people know you for? What do your friends know you for? What are you the reliable person for? What do you always bring up in conversation? Those types of things. Your photo album on your phone, flick through it. There'll be a theme of a couple of things that you always take photos of in your life. If you can figure what that, out what that is, and accept that that is what you love, that's what your highest values are, then you know yourself a little bit better. Then you can start thinking, well, that's why I don't want a Lamborghini, or that's why I don't actually want that job, or that's why I don't want to be an entrepreneur even, right? Maybe you'll figure out that's why you don't want a job and you do want to be an entrepreneur. So just understanding that is really powerful. And then you can start to figure out, how can I start moving into a life where everything I can do is just that, and I'm paid, and that's either paid directly for doing that, or I meet someone who's paid that pays for my lifestyle so I can do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So back to your question, figure out who you really are. Don't look up to people, and look up to things that are not truly important to those values once you've done that little discovery process. And then figure out how you can just do more of that. And whenever someone gives you advice, just take it with a pinch of salt. Reference it to, is this the life I want? Have they got the life I want? This is the life I want. This is what my values are. They're telling me, conducive to that. If it is, great. If it's not, then take it with a pinch of salt. But don't believe in these don't believe in these wrongs and rights in the first place. It's just, you have a wrong and right. They have a wrong and right. Everyone has a wrong and right. You just mentioned that he trod on an ant, right? There's people that kill foxes every weekend with guns, and they hang around with lots of people that kill foxes and rip them to pieces with dogs. Whereas there's activists that hate those guys, right? So they're just, knowing who you are and doing more of what you love. That's the key.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I know I follow you. And I think one thing I want to mention before we wrap up is people are saying to me, oh, how can you go and interview this person? Or how can you go and interview that person? If you want to live a free life, you can't compare yourself saying, well, I'm not going to go and talk to that person because they've got more money than me, or I'm not going to talk to them person because they've got less money to me. For me, my core values is everybody's equal. It doesn't matter where you're from, no matter what age, race, or religion, you are a person and you get treated the same by me. And my core values are kind, honest, and respectful, among other things, but they're the ones we teach our kids. And when I'm talking to people, I'm kind, I'm honest, I'm respectful of their values, of their beliefs. I accept that they have different ones to me. But you can't base your life on, oh, I can't talk to that person, because it's do what makes you happy, love your life you're living, and hopefully we pass those traits and values on to our kids. And if they do go off the rails a bit, then hopefully we can guide them back on.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What are you going to do for the rest of today? So after you've finished your call with us today, so what are you heading off to do next?
Well, I'd get up quite early, so I'm an early riser, normally around 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. And I go to the gym and I do a lot of work in the morning. So by kind of 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I've done like 5 or 6 hours work, or I've been to the gym and done like 4 hours work or whatever. So when it gets to about this time in the day, I'm just, it's just about creating. So I'll think about some opportunities that I want to get involved with, and just spend some time with the family and make sure that we have that, we have that balance going on as well. So for the rest of the day, not a lot.
Excellent. Right, go and enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much. It's so amazing, and we really appreciate your energy and how honest and committed you are to helping other people. So everybody, make sure you check out Jason. The link will be put into this. And the Parental CEO is kind of like we've designed it to break the molds, break the normality, and we want to help parents become successful in business, in life, in parenting. Travel if you want to travel, do what you want to do, but be you. And I think if you've taken anything away from Jason's interview today, that is to go and do something you love. And if you need help with your financial freedom, definitely follow this guy. What's the best 100%. Way to follow you?
You could just go to jasongraystone.com, and you'll find all the things there that you need.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have the most amazing day.
Thanks for having me. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.